Hey guys, we are on day 113 in our Bible reading plan, and today we're going to be reading in the book of First Chronicles, chapters 1 and 2. We are jumping to the book of Chronicles because we're going through the Bible chronologically, and so there will be events throughout the book of Chronicles that line up with the reign and the line of King David, and so we're going to be going back and forth a little bit. And when we read the books of First and Second Chronicles, we find a very different account of the history of Israel. This is a historical book. The goal here is that they're going to begin with the genealogies from Adam all the way through. By the time we get to the end of the book of Second Chronicles, it's going to go all the way through the history of Israel, all the way to them being brought back from exile. And as we read these genealogies today and over the next few days, it can be really easy to check out and just be reading like, oh yeah, this guy begot that guy as the son of this guy as the father of that guy. These genealogies are going to be highlighting some important people in the history of Israel since the very beginning, from creation all the way through. We see that in chapter 1 right away. We read the historical genealogical record of Adam and his sons all the way to Noah. What's really interesting to me as I was even reading that was just realizing that it's a pretty straight, direct line that they go through to get from Adam to Noah, and there's really no sense in trying to follow any other branches until you get to Noah, because in the lifetime of Noah the earth was destroyed, and so we have this resetting of the genealogy almost through the line of Noah, and then it focuses on Noah's sons, and we read about Shem and Ham, we read about Japheth, and then we sort of zero in on Shem's family line. And at the end of Shem's family line, in verses 24 through 27, we have sort of a recapping of Shem to Abram. And so it says Shem to Arphaxad, to Shelah, to Eber, to Peleg, to Ruah, Serug, Nahor, Terah, and Abram. That is Abraham. And so then in chapter 1, we're going from Adam to Noah to Abraham, and focusing in then on Abraham and Abraham's line. And the book of Chronicles is really going to be establishing through these genealogies David. And so we're going to read all the way through to David. And one of the things that was really interesting to me as well, we've just read through all of these accounts of all of these things that have happened to these key people in the history of Israel. And as you read through Abraham's family line and his genealogy is listed very differently from everyone else's. It lists the descendants of his wives and his concubine. It lists the descendants of Hagar. It lists the descendants of Keturah, his concubine, and it lists the descendant of Sarah. And that's important. That's an important distinction in the way that they laid that out, because while Abraham had many sons, the son of the promise, the Lord said it would come through Sarah. They're distinguishing not just this son, that son, and this other son and their lines, but the author is highlighting the child of Sarah, because that child that Abraham would have with Sarah, God said, would be the child that was promised. So then we have Abraham to Isaac, and then Isaac has Jacob and Esau, and the author here splits the genealogy there as well and focuses in on Esau's line and the Edomites until the end of chapter 1. And then in chapter 2, we're reading about Israel's sons, Jacob. We're going to read the genealogy, the historical record of Jacob and his sons. So when we read here Israel's sons, we know that God changed Jacob's name to Israel, and that this is now the account of Israel. And we read about Judah. We read about Caleb here. It's interesting, the people that they're highlighting, Judah, Caleb, these are all people who would have stood out in the account of the people coming into the promised land, the 12 tribes and their inheritance. This is very much the history of Israel that we're reading here. And we're reading about key people and where they came from and their place in the story of God as well. It really was interesting to me to read the sons of Noah and the many, many tribes that came from his line. We read about, in chapter 1, the Hamites. We read that Canaan was from Ham. Egypt was from him. The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, the Hamathites, but all these people who have become a problem to Israel in the book of Judges, we're reading where they came from here. And so it's kind of fun. I would recommend as you're going through this, don't just check out. If it's hard to follow and read, turn up your volume on your phone, press play on your Bible reading app, and read along as it narrates out loud the story to you. That can help you go through this and keep track. I went through and as I was reading, I just sort of underlined the tribes that I recognized from the book of Judges that, they came from this person in the line of Adam. Okay. So I did that, and then I just sort of tried as I was going through to keep straight the line from Adam all the way to Abraham, and then as we continue going through the tribes and down all the way to King David. So that would be my recommendation for this today. As I read this, the thing that really strikes me is just all of the generations that existed from Adam to David and ultimately to the Messiah, that this is a work that God has been doing and bringing Jesus to us since the beginning of creation, and that he, through all of the lives and generations of these people, was working all of this together for our good so that at just the right time, Jesus would be born and save us. And my mind is sort of blown as I read these genealogies at how patient, how faithful God is to do the things that he has promised to do in our world and in our lives. So if you're waiting on God today, be encouraged. He is faithful and he does come through. All right, that's all for today. Have a great day. I hope you enjoy this reading, and drop a comment in the box below on what stands out to you in these genealogies.